Hello, my name is Logan. I went vegan in 2018 solely for the animals. I saw some documentaries and I just couldn't believe that my entire life I had been lied to. I thought that animals were killed quickly. I thought that they lived happy lives, and I thought that it was necessary to thrive and survive. And then I realized, oh my gosh, what we are doing to them is horrific, and we wouldn't do these worse things to our enemies. And so I decided to go vegan on the spot. That was it in 2018.
Now, weren't you afraid you were going to be nutrient deficient or something?
I was at first, and I had thought about cutting meat out of my diet over the years. I would kind of dabble in going vegetarian and then not, and you hear from people around you, oh, you're so thin, like you need to eat more protein and this and that. And so there were these ideas in my mind of nutrient deficiency, but then I saw the documentary What the Health, and it kind of got me questioning all of these different things. And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is healthier. And I realized that I started feeling so much better. I had more energy, my skin cleared up, my digestion was better. So I was like, actually, this is much healthier, especially if you're eating a whole foods plant-based diet. And I actually get way more nutrients than I think I ever did.
Yeah. Now, prior to going vegan, did you ever think there's no way I could do that?
Yes. I'll never forget, actually, I was at this brunch with my family, and my aunt said to me, she's like, at the time I was vegetarian, she's like, you know, do you ever see yourself going vegan? And I was like, no, I'm not one of those crazy fanatics. I was like, that is way too extreme. But now looking back on it, I'm like, what's extreme is what we do to animals. What's extreme is confining animals in cages, taking their lives away for a sandwich. It's extreme to take breast milk away from a mother cow and kill her baby. Like, these are what's the extreme things. There's nothing extreme about just wanting to treat animals with kindness, treat the environment with respect, and also our bodies well.
What illnesses have you acquired from going vegan?
None. No illnesses from going vegan, not at all. There have been illnesses from, I guess, being a little hungover or things like that, but overall, nothing just vegan related.
Did you have companion animals growing up?
Yes, I have a dog, Daisy, who's up there. She's around 13, and I do think that she was a huge part in me going vegan. And I'll never forget, the reason that I even started thinking about where food came from was I saw a livestock truck with pigs in it on the highway one summer when I was around 13, and I was sitting in the car with Daisy. And I just remember looking back at the livestock truck filled with pigs and looking at my dog and thinking, what's the difference between this animal that's loved, that's cherished, that is just absolutely adored in our family, to these animals that are headed to the slaughterhouse to be killed prematurely for bacon. And I realized there was no difference.
Yeah. Do you think people innately don't want to hurt animals?
I do. I think it's through deep social conditioning that we stray away from that kindness that we are born with in our heart towards animals. You know, as kids, we have all these stuffed animals that we play with. We watch movies, Disney movies that tell stories of animals. We love animals. I just think that it's our habits that have kind of taken over, and billions of dollars are pumped into advertising meat products to make people think that it's necessary and that it's just a part of life. But really, it's what we're doing. There's nothing natural about the meat industry. There's nothing kind about the meat industry. And I think if most people allowed themselves to see exactly what we are doing to animals, they wouldn't be able to contribute to the suffering that they do. And I'll tell you actually a story about this. I did a talk at National Animal Rights Day, and I was trying to figure out what I should say in this speech. I didn't want to just kind of regurgitate the same information that we often hear. And I spoke to my grandfather, and I called him. I was like, Grandpa, I'm speaking at National Animal Rights Day. Any ideas of what I should talk about? And for context, my grandfather is not a vegan. It actually does not relate to me on any level about veganism. And he goes, you got to talk about the whales. He's like, the whales that are washing up on the shores, there's 97 whales that just washed up on the East Coast. And I'm like, oh my God, that's super interesting. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, he's so goddamn concerned about the whales, yet I would be curious what he had for lunch that day, you know? So it's this like cognitive dissonance and this disconnect that for some reason the lives of 97 whales is worth more than the lives of 80 billion farm animals every year. So it's this total disconnect, and I think it goes to show his innate compassion and his innate desire to not harm animals. But it's through deep conditioning that he, for some reason, thinks whales' lives are more important. I was there once too.
Yeah.
You know, I would eat a chicken sandwich and then pet my dog 10 minutes later, or I would throw on leather boots and then watch cute cow videos. I remember also like making fun of guys' dating profile pictures where they're like holding up fish, and then I would go home and broil flounder for dinner. You know, it really was this cognitive dissonance of like, I wanted to think I was a good person and that I cared about animals, but my actions weren't aligning with that. So going vegan really, in essence, was just aligning my ethics and morals with my actions. That's basically all that veganism was for me.
How do you define it?
Veganism?
Yeah, and concise.
I define veganism as trying to reduce suffering where possible. I think being that we live in a non-vegan world, it's impossible to be 100% perfect. You know, like I don't know for sure if there's wool in this carpet, yet I'm stepping on it, you know, little things like that. But where we can do better, we should. And I think once we know better, we do better.
How often is it okay for you to cheat?
Cheat is not an option for me. It's not a matter of, oh, I have cheese sometimes here and there. Veganism is an ethical stance against animal abuse. And I'm not just against animal abuse some of the time. I'm against animal abuse all of the time.
Is it a diet?
No, veganism is not a diet, and I think this is a really common misconception that people have. Because you can, for example, eat Oreos and potato chips all day, or you could eat a bunch of salads and greens and fruits, and that is one way of eating as a vegan, and there's many different ways of eating as a vegan. But one thing that is common across veganism in general is that you do not wear animals, you do not use animal products, you do not eat animal products, and you avoid cosmetics and soaps that harm animals in testing as well.
Do you include humans in the equation of, you know, compassion toward animals?
Meaning, am I nice to people? No, those crusty, musty, dusty-ass meat eaters disgust me. No, I'm kidding. I do try to... I think after going vegan, it's expanded my circle of compassion. And I think that if we can love and respect all individuals and see the value in many different individuals, whether you're a little mouse on the side of the road and you have respect for that creature, or, you know, your brother or sister, it's just a matter of like, just being kind to all and treating others how you would want to be treated.
I like to advocate the healthy aspect of veganism, the healthy diet side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think by living by example and showing people I'm still alive, my hair hasn't fallen out, you know.
Your teeth just...
My teeth, well, I might have a missing one back there, but that could be from being punched by a meat eater. Who knows? Yeah, I'm good, and I think people are seeing that, and I think that it takes time to unlearn behaviors that you've been taught your entire life, but the longer that I've been in this movement, the more I try to find ways to advocate in a sustainable manner. So that's through filmmaking, that's through educational content, that's through speaking to people on the street. I used to, when I first went vegan, explode on people and get really, really angry and really devastated because of the state of the world, and this is a pressing, urgent matter, and I found it difficult to find ways to channel my feelings about this issue to the world. But I found that slowly but surely I've changed my advocacy over time to a way that I enjoy advocating for the animals, and also I think that it's more effective, at least for me.
Has anyone ever been aggressive towards you because you're vegan?
All the time people are aggressive towards me for being vegan. Oh my gosh. I find that as soon as I am even at an event where there's animal products, or I really try not to sit down at tables where there are, but if I find myself in a situation where I have to sit down where there's animal products, I find that all the focus and attention is on me. People all of a sudden become nutritionists, asking me where I get my B12. People, become lions and tigers. One guy's stuck on a deserted island and it's like wild how many people come at you, because it's, as vegans, we are like mirrors. We are showing people their own guilty conscience. So all the time people become aggressive towards me, and being that I also speak to people on the street about veganism, sometimes I run into some people that get angry with me.
What if somebody sat down, you're going out to eat with somebody for whatever reason, whoever they are, and they say, is it okay if I order chicken?
No. I'd be like, bye. No, I really don't. I don't condone that behavior. It's not okay with me. My mom actually said to me the other day, we're going on a family trip. She's like, are you going to be cool? Mom, I will never be cool with an animal having their head cut off so you can enjoy a sandwich. I will never be cool with that, okay? So, and I was like, is everybody else going to be cool towards me? That's the real question. I find that everybody tries to pick on me and make fun, but because I now know the facts and now I'm able to respond, I try to be respectful, I try to be straightforward, but I also don't take shit from them. So like, they get upset when they see that I'm right. So it kind of can turn a little contentious, but I do find that people, when they realize that they're stuck in my corner, they get a little worked up, and I just try to always remain calm. I think it's a lot of the way that we say things, and even if somebody gets a little worked up, I just try to let them process things, and I think that ultimately I want them to look back on the conversation and think, okay, she didn't really say anything that was that mean to me. Maybe in the moment they got worked up because they realized they were wrong, or there's some internal conflict going on. But I want them to look back on the conversation and think positively about veganism. Ultimately, it's you, baby, not me.
Now, some people say to each his own, like what I do is what I do. Why is it important for others to be vegan?
So veganism is all about to each their own. It's about giving animals the right to their own bodily autonomy. We are saying that animals also deserve the right to life and deserve to be free from suffering. And by eating animal products, you are directly paying for their torture and abuse. And it's not a personal choice when you're eating them if there's a victim involved in your actions.
Has there ever been a time where somebody presented an argument that made you question veganism?
Never. I think in the beginning when I first went vegan, I didn't know how to respond to some of these questions, and it took many months of just researching and watching different videos online of Earthling Ed, Joey Carbstrong, and other activists. But at the end of the day, taking the life away from somebody that doesn't want to die is morally and ethically wrong, and I think that's what veganism is all about, is just bringing it back to that point, which you can't argue that.
What have you found to be the most effective ways at encouraging others?
To get active or to go vegan?
To go vegan.
A lot of people are most interested at first through health, and unfortunately through the ways that it can benefit them initially is what I find is effective. I tend to try and focus things on the animals and always bring it back to that. But I think because they're so deeply conditioned and they literally see these animals as inanimate objects, it's sometimes hard to get them to unlearn that on the spot. But if you can say, you'll feel a lot better when you go vegan, your digestion will clear up, your skin will glow. That at least gets their guard down, and it's like we're now on the same level here. Like, I'm not trying to attack you, I'm not trying to make you look like an idiot, I'm simply trying to help you. And then from there I can sneak in and be like, what do you think these animals are going through, and how does it make you feel knowing that an individual had to suffer and die for a meal, and start to ask them questions. I think that's really important when advocating, because I think that a lot of people will listen to what they say themselves. So if you can ask questions and then steer the conversation where you want it to go, that's kind of, and I can give an example of that if you would like. Okay, so if I'm out on the street speaking to someone and the topic of protein comes up and somebody says to me, oh, I'm a bodybuilder, I need my protein. And I will simply say, well, what is protein? What is it? And where does it come from? And from there, they get stuck in their tracks and they don't actually know what it is. And they'll sit for a second and I'll say, okay, well, where do the animals that we eat get their protein? And so from there, we can have a discussion and realize, okay, protein is simply building blocks of amino acids, which comes from plants. And you can get complete proteins from a whole foods plant-based diet. And in fact, people should be worried more about heart disease, cancer, diabetes, where they're getting their fiber. There's so many other issues from an animal-based diet over going towards a healthy plant-based diet.
Yeah, good stuff. And you've only been vegan, what, a handful of years?
6 years I've been vegan, and I swear it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. I found my purpose. I found why I'm here.
Yeah, why didn't you do it sooner?
I feel like peer pressure and social settings made it difficult. I didn't really know any other vegans, and being in high school when you're out with friends, you don't want to be the weird one out. And also I didn't have the facts or the information really on my side. I think to actually sit down and watch slaughterhouse footage is extremely uncomfortable and extremely painful and devastating. And it shook me to my core, and it forced me to look inward and say, I was wrong all of these years. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And it took me till I was 18 to be like, I need to watch this and know what suffering I'm contributing to. And to be honest with you, I wish I did it sooner. It's my biggest regret.
Why do you think some people quit?
I think there's many reasons why people quit. Some reasons would be because they were never vegan to begin with, and they never actually saw animals as individuals that think, feel, suffer, that want to live. Some people just do it for health. And with health, you can argue that if you have, a piece of cheese every once in a while, that you're not going to die from that, But when you really bring it back to the animals, that's what keeps you vegan. I really don't believe that you can go back from that. It's like, look at any other form of injustice or oppression, right? We wouldn't say, I'm a feminist. I am here for the rights of women, and then a couple years later say, no, actually, I hate women. They can go fuck themselves. Am I allowed to say that? You just wouldn't do that. So it's the same with animals. Like, you either see them as individuals and you either advocate for their right to life, or you never did in the first place.
Could you be with somebody who isn't vegan?
That's a really good question. So long term, I don't think I could be with somebody that wasn't vegan. I'm always open to having conversations with partners about the issue with animal agriculture, and if they're open-minded, that is something that I will give them the time to make the connection like I did. And I do find it's a great way to advocate is through dating and having these conversations. But I could never be with somebody that's closed-minded, that doesn't want to hear it, that ultimately would never go vegan in the long run, because how could I be with somebody that doesn't see the world the same way I do in the long run? I wouldn't date somebody that treats people different based on their skin color. I wouldn't be with somebody that treats dogs and cats poorly. And I ultimately wouldn't be with somebody that pays to kill chickens, pigs, cows, fish for meals.
What about family, though? Like, how do you deal with family during the holidays and whatnot?
That's a really good question. So, I wanted to finish off. So my boyfriend, with my boyfriend, I started dating him in 2020, and he was very open-minded, really supportive of what I was doing, but he wasn't yet vegan. And about a year into dating, I was like, buddy, the clock is ticking. Like, you really need to think about, where you see this relationship going. But also, I don't want you going vegan for me. Like, I want you going vegan because you believe that it's the right thing to do. And ultimately, he sat down with me and watched Dominion, watched Earthlings, and changed. And he was like, I can't eat these products ever again. And now he's advocating to his friends, and he understands, why we're vegan, why we speak up. And I am so grateful for that. Like, even if there was a point where we weren't together in the future, he would I would think, stay vegan.
Nice.
Yeah, and so with your question about family, I think family is hands down the hardest part about being vegan, because it's devastating to see that the people that you love the most are contributing to the issue that you're fighting, you're dedicating your life to fighting against. So family can be really difficult and really tough. I now try to focus on making them delicious plant-based meals. They know my boundaries. I've set those boundaries. I will not go to Thanksgivings where there's animal products. I will not attend family dinners where there's animal products. Like, it got to a point where it was too upsetting for me after going into slaughterhouses and, seeing animals fighting for their lives. Like, I don't see the difference between a turkey on the table or a dog or a cat, and they understand that. And I think through my advocacy over the 6 years, they see the content that I put out, and my immediate family, like my mom, my dad, my brothers, they get it, and they really don't want, especially my brothers, don't want to like go down that rabbit hole, so they don't pick on me at all. My extended family, I think they were seeing some of the things I was putting on social media when I first went vegan, which was pouring blood in the supermarkets and yelling at people and and I think they were a little turned off by that. And now I do more comedic style, fun, humorous content, which I think both are still effective. I don't think that there's a right or wrong way to advocate. You just have to find a way that's sustainable for you and something that ultimately is effective that you are seeing people change from, right? So for me, that wasn't as effective from what I was able to see. So my extended family like unfriended me on social media, like don't invite me to things. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe they need to hear it from somebody else other than me, It's sad, it's really unfortunate, but I wish that they would go vegan. They would look a lot better. Just saying.
Do you ever wish you were raised vegan?
Always. I wish, I say that all the time. I'm like, I wish I was born and raised vegan. Absolutely. It probably would have saved me a lot of colds that I had as a kid. And, I think I at least grew up on potato chips, Oreos, sloppy joes, and just like gross foods, and
Cold hot dogs.
Yep. It's like so many people are like, telling vegan parents it's abuse to feed your kids vegan. I'm like, well, what are you feeding your kids? Hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken nuggets? You think that's better than a healthy diet of a variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, leafy greens? Seriously?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I wish I was raised vegan, absolutely.
What kind of mistakes have you made?
I made many mistakes when I first went vegan. I think it's a learning experience, and I try not to beat myself up over it, but for the longest time I would have like Starbursts and not realize that there's gelatin in Starbursts. I wasn't perfect about reading labels. Like, I think at first I would like have a muffin if there was like a derivative of a milk product in there, because sometimes it doesn't even say milk.
Whey.
Sometimes it says whey, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So there were certain times that...
It almost sounds like wheat.
that happened, yeah. And then started learning these things and reading more and researching, and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's milk in that? Like, oh, there's honey in this? I didn't know. Or I had leather shoes. And at first I would wear them, and then it kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't want to walk around promoting cow skin, and it just doesn't ethically align with my values. And so that was like another thing where I donated a bunch of shoes. And so there's levels to it. I just think where we can reduce suffering as far as is practically possible is important. I think also the aspect of makeup and shampoos, and I for the longest time, I didn't know that if something says cruelty-free but not vegan, it doesn't always mean that cruelty-free is vegan. It's very confusing. So you have to look to make sure that it says both cruelty-free and vegan on it. And we're getting to a point in this world where I think things are going to get more convenient. Thank God. I think, we're seeing this rise, and it's only going to become more of a household term. Most people nowadays know what vegan means, or at least have an idea of what it is. When I went vegan 6 years ago, people would put feta on my salad and think it's vegan. And I would have to explain, no, actually cheese is not vegan. It comes from animals. I do not consume, any animal products. So, yeah.
How do you suggest others to get started?
I think just jump right into it if possible. That's, kind of.
Did you have any transitional difficulties?
Yeah. I went vegan after being vegetarian for a while, but I jumped right into the vegan thing once I found out about, eggs and dairy.
Yeah, but that's a good step toward it, right, though?
I think so, yeah. I was pescatarian for a while, then vegetarian, then vegan. I think, people's bodies are different, so if you've been eating animal products your whole life, you might have to acclimate. For me, because I did it in steps, didn't really feel that at all. In fact, I just felt better because I was eating a lot of cheese. And
How long ago did you go vegetarian?
probably about a year before that. Your question was, how should somebody get started?
Yeah,
and I think a really good way would be to take this challenge called Veganuary, which is what I did. January 1st of 2018, I took the pledge. I said, for 1 month, I'm gonna just go vegan, leave animal products off my plate. I was like, I could do it for a month, but I don't see myself doing this for more than that. And it was a challenge that I took, that I put my nose to the grindstone, and I was like, I can do this. And it was kind of fun because I had to discover new recipes, but also it was a learning experience because they sent me resources and information. So I think by challenging yourself and then seeing, oh, I could do this for a month. Well, I could probably do it for 2 months. And then 2 months turns into 4 months. 4 months turns into 8 months. And then next thing you know, it's 6 years later, and I'm a lifelong vegan.
Yeah, but now that's all diet related. You still got to expose yourself to the ethics, like you mentioned earlier, right?
So through that month, I was looking at resources, and Veganuary was sending me information about what happens in the egg industry, what happens in the dairy industry, and of course I started watching videos. I saw different things on social media.
Is that a website domain or something that you go to get this information?
If you Google Veganuary, it should come up.
There's like a starter kit or something, or you said they email you? So
they email you. Yeah, you could put your email in on the website. The other thing, too, that I would recommend is that everybody watch the documentary Earthlings. It's free on YouTube. I would sit down and watch that. I would watch Cowspiracy and What the Health. And these documentaries will cover everything from the environment, the environmental impacts of animal agriculture, health, how it's affecting your body, and then the ethics of it. I think every single person that eats animal products should see where they're coming from. And if you can't watch it, you shouldn't be eating it.
What's an ideal day of eating like for you?
That's a good question. I think it varies day to day, depending on where I am, but I try to start off my day with either a smoothie or oatmeal. I like to eat a little bit lighter in the morning because sometimes I'm not super hungry. And for lunch, I'll do anything from like a big salad to a burrito bowl. For dinner, I'll do something like sushi, vegan sushi, or I'll do a sauteed veggie. I think it's just so easy to throw veggies in a pan with some like teriyaki sauce. I keep it pretty simple. And of course, there's great restaurants in New York City that you would be blown away.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Some of my favorite places are in Nixie, which is this great Mediterranean spot, Planta Queen, which is...
Beyond Sushi, I guess?
Beyond Sushi's another one, Coletta, Willow, Ha Ha Ha, Urban Vegan Kitchen. I could name 20 off the top of my head. And it's just about challenging yourself, and I'm learning the information.
You have a success story you want to share real quick?
Yeah, sure. Well, I do a lot of activism, and one of the things that I like to do is Anonymous for the Voiceless, where we stand in public spaces and hold TV screens that show the truth and show standard practices in animal agriculture. People will be walking by, whether they're on their way home from work or headed to dinner to meet a friend, and they'll stop and they'll see this display of what's going on, and people are shocked. A lot of people are really devastated and concerned. And then of course you get the people that walk by and just shake it off, laugh, or just act like they didn't see it. And that I think is a defense mechanism. I'll have some conversations with people, and there was this one lady that I talked to that I must have spoken to for a while, and she must have really thought about what we were talking about, went home, and I was standing in a circle about 8 months later, and the same woman came up to me and she said, "Are you Jamie?" And I was like, yes, that's me. Am I in trouble? And she was like, I just want to let you know you changed my life. She's like, I have been vegan ever since we spoke. And now she's speaking up and advocating, and that's why I do what I do.
You do other stuff too. You got Gen V there with you on your shirt.
Generation Vegan, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a U.S. campaign manager at Generation Vegan, and we work on everything from educational short documentaries to petitions to plant-based food drives, and we're really just trying to figure out how we can have the most impact for animals and reach the most amount of people. So it's great because it's pairing my love for film and for the activism with animal rights, and so this has been like just such an amazing position. I love working in the animal activism space, and I also have my own YouTube show called Jamie's Corner, and that's kind of just where I film some of these wacky conversations with people on the street, and I try to make it fun and entertaining but also informative. And I also worked for a documentary film company called Cave Light Films for the past 3 years, and we worked on 6 short documentaries that have over 100 million views, and they all tell stories about the animal rights movement. And so you never know who's going to watch that and say, okay, I'm changing. Like, I can't participate in this anymore.
Yeah. And now we're in LA for the
AVA Summit.
And that stands for
Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit.
Excellent, yeah.
Great.
And what's this all about?
This is about getting together, brainstorming, strategizing, and trying to figure out ways to make the world a better place. And we're meeting people from all walks of life, people that do undercover investigations, which, to me, they're the heroes of this movement, being able to get what happens inside of these places out to the public. We're meeting different CEOs that have started amazing animal rights organizations. We're meeting people in the beyond meat space, cultured meat space, alternative, food space. We're meeting activists, people in the film industry, just all sorts of people, and it's just amazing to get together and see that we are growing. We are going to win this. We are a strong movement, and one thing that we have that the meat industry doesn't have is we have purpose. We're not in this for the money. We're in this because this is something that needs to change and change now, immediately. We're not going to have it happen overnight, but that urgency and that sense of, we have a lot of work to do, I think will propel us forward.
Is there anything about vegans that you would like to see change that annoys you?
I love all vegans. I do. Even if you're an asshole, I'm like, you're still a vegan, so it's fine. One thing that I guess I wish that would get a little better in our movement is the infighting. There's a lot of different opinions, and there's some people that, say, oh, you should be able to eat honey, or this and that. It's just like, let's not get boggled down by these very specific, ways of, terminology. And I think we all need to support each other and act like we have our shit together, so that when people on the outside are looking in, they see that we're a movement filled with love and compassion and empathy for all living beings, each other included. And I think if we just focus some of that energy on trying to change meat eaters instead of trying to fight with other vegans, we would see a lot more effective work.
You're making me think of somebody who, an influencer who recently claims she's no longer vegan.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Because she thinks she could build this relationship with animals in such a symbiotic way that it would be okay to eat an egg, for example.
What a weirdo. She's a weirdo and a freak, if you ask me.
So I guess you don't think you could ever see yourself going down that type of
Why would I want
highway.
to eat a chicken's menstrual cycle, Jeff? Seriously? Are you asking me this? No, there's nothing that I find appealing about that anymore. I mean, there's amazing vegan eggs. I do a lot of tofu scrambles. I do just egg, which is made from mung beans. It's amazing. It satisfies any craving that you could ever have for a breakfast sandwich. That vegan influencer, this is what happens in our movement. We tend to idolize certain people, and then when they turn out to be somebody that they're not,
on a journey,
when they turn out to go on this journey, we're all shocked and surprised. And she's got some weird spiritual thing going on that I'm like, girl, like, your actions speak louder than your empty words. You're just saying all of this nonsense. Like, you either respect animals and leave them off your plates, or you don't.
Yeah.
There's no in between there.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, if she's got her backyard chickens, I'm not gonna go protest at her house. Like, it's obviously way less harmful than a factory farm setting for the birds. But again, like, I don't think that we should be using animals to any extent. If we just don't need to.
Yeah, because it's not sustainable. So when you normalize it, it inevitably becomes abusive.
Yes. Exactly. And then it turns into this thing where it's not just the influencer in her backyard. People use that as a green light to then go into the supermarket and buy factory farmed eggs from hens that have been confined their entire lives in a cage no bigger than the size of a square foot. It's like insane.
How do you stay positive in such a sick world?
I have hope. I think in any sort of movement, as an activist, we have to remain hopeful because that's why we keep fighting. And I am trying to focus on some of the achievable goals, whether that's looking at certain designers that have dropped fur, animals that have been rescued from a situation. Like, those to me are wins. And I think we need to focus our attention on that and ultimately realize that there's still a lot of work that we have to do. But I try to remain positive and hopeful because I believe that we will achieve animal liberation, whether it's in our lifetime or our future generations, because the planet can't sustain this anymore. Injustice doesn't last forever.
Do you think when people go vegan, they become more compassionate toward humans as well?
Not always. I feel like you can get really angry at humans. And it took me a really long time to try to hold back my anger towards humans. Like, we're kind of like parasites on this earth. We come in, we act like we have dominion over everybody, we think we're better than everybody else. We just destroy everything we touch. Like, the earth would thrive without human beings. But ultimately, like, I can't press a button and kill everyone, so I might as well try to make peace with who we have. And I don't believe that humans want to be mean or bad. Like, I think we all possess this kindness and empathy in our hearts, and that's what makes us human, is that we have the capacity to connect with others and feel empathy. Like, we have a moral compass, and we don't need animal products to survive. We're not lions and tigers in the wild. We know right from wrong. Yeah, it's hard to sometimes think about what humans are doing to animals and not feel angry or upset with them, but I try to see them as allies and think, maybe I could get this person on our side and maybe they can have a big impact.
The first time I encountered you was on Jane Unchained. She's a good friend of mine, and she was showing me around, and she was so excited when she got to you.
I adore Jane Velez Mitchell.
Yeah.
She is just an inspiration in this movement, and everybody should go to Unchained TV and check out some of the great documentaries she has on there. I mean, she's managed to create a vegan network. And that is what we're doing. We're building a vegan world. And there's some really amazing people doing impactful projects like Unchained TV. There's the Vegan Stay, which is an Airbnb for vegans all over the world. You can go stay at sanctuaries and donate your money to that instead of just Airbnb. There's people working on the dating space, on like dating apps. It's just, we are infiltrating. So they better watch out, those meat eaters. We're coming for you.
And what were you doing on Jane Unchained? Was it a cooking show or something, or what?
I was doing my Jamie's Corner on the street style stuff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so they could look that up, and it's Jamie's Corner.
Yep, Jamie's Corner on YouTube, or you can go on Instagram. It's Jamie's Corner. Somebody stole Jamie's Corner on Instagram, so.
So that's all your URLs or social media things?
It's JamiesCorner.com.
And then, do you have a quote you want to share?
A quote. Sure. You know who comes to mind for some reason is quickly Regan Russell. And she was the activist that was run over by a pig livestock truck in Ontario, Canada in 2019. And her quote is, "I don't know if I'm doing any good, but I know that doing nothing is no good." And that sticks with me, and that I keep that in mind. Even when I feel upset or I want to stop, I take a second and I think the animals need us, and I'm going to do whatever I can.
You have a very beautiful heart and soul, and I appreciate your time and This is kind of, emotional to me a little bit for some reason. You bring out a lot of emotions.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I hope you're not like crying over there. Okay. He's tearing up, you guys. If only you could see what I'm seeing now.
No, it's a lot of good stuff. And let me give you a fist five.
Okay. Cool.
Imagine if aliens came down to planet Earth.
What the hell is up? My name is Jamie Logan.
Anybody that eats animal products, whether it's eggs, whether it's dairy, whether it is body parts of animals, meat as we call it, you need to watch this footage.
In front of me was my friend Sasha, who was body painted as a skinned animal. And then I was behind her with a sign that said, "Coach, leather kills." What it did was it's disrupting the norm of watching models walk by draped in animal skins.
Vegan diets can lead to hair loss.
What the hell is up, you guys? My name is Jamie Logan, and today we are gonna be giving out some balls in Williamsburg.
What the hell is up? Yes, we have a lot going on here, Gia. What can I do for you?
Oh, didn't see you there. What the hell is up? I was just wondering if you guys were going to the VeganLinked experience. What do you have going on here? You got a tail and some fins.
Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on, let's go. Come on, come on. Get up there.
What the hell is up? My name is Jamie Logan, and today we are talking to people about how Thailand is using monkey labor for coconut milk. This is what's going on with the monkeys.
Go watch a video of a pig screaming as they're being beaten on a factory farm or slaughtered, and tell me if you think that they don't feel pain, that this is okay, that this is ethical. For some reason, people think something humane happens in the process.
What the hell is up, you guys? We are here in Arizona at this amazing vegan spot.
What the hell is up? Have you guys heard about the Earthshaw Prize? All right, well, you need to listen up. Founded by His Royal Highness Prince William himself, the Earthshaw Prize is a global search for the best solutions to the world's greatest environmental challenges.
Most people, their natural instinct, if they see an animal suffering, they want to help. They don't want that to happen.
Exactly. Every single time I just even post animal rights content, people are like, "Are you with PETA?"
We are back in Washington Square. I see your face. I know it's pretty disturbing footage. The male chicks are no use to the egg industry because
Is it ethical to compare the suffering of female humans to cows? Some people commented that female humans are currently oppressed.
Y'all know they kill a lot of animals to make tofu, right?
Tell me more.
Like in the fields where the tofu and everything's grown, they have to kill all the rodents and everything.
What are the 80 billion animals that we kill every single year eating? What are 3 foods that you go into the grocery store and buy? Milk. What the hell is up? My name is Jamie Logan, and today we are in Union Square.